Hey everybody, it is Cathy with Backyard Columbus, and if you're watching this on YouTube, this is probably the actual literal last outside episode that I'm doing because now I'm losing daylight. I started out with a little bit. We're getting ready to go on vacation, and we'll be smack in the middle of this vacation as you're listening to this episode, but I'm trying to squeak out a few and stay ahead on top of this. So here we go. Today's episode, hopefully this will hit you in time, is why on earth we would want to keep dead flowers in our yards. So this really is more so if you are doing some native annuals like zinnias, or mostly what this pertains to is if you have planted native, if you've started planting native plants in your yard. Native plants, again, are the plants that have grown in your specific area for since the dawn of time, okay? And so here in Central Ohio, off the top of my head, things like black-eyed Susans, echinacea, various forms of goldenrod. Those are all things that have always grown in this area, okay? And so ironweed, that's another one. Anyway, all the wildflowers, relatively speaking, that you would see out in the fields, those are things that have always grown there. So what relies on those, okay, so they're beautiful while they're flowering, and then it gets to be this time of year, and they go down the tubes, and then they get, the black-eyed Susans are all brown, and there's just the seeds in the middle, and then the echinacea, the coneflower, the purple coneflower, it was beautiful lavender-ish, and now it's just brown seeds in the middle and everything. It was yellow or red or orange or whatever color it was, and now it's just brown with seeds in the middle. So can you kind of feel where I'm going with this? They have seeds in the middle. So who needs those seeds? All the birds, okay? And so I talked about this kind of in my last episode about leaving the leaves, and we're wasting our money by removing the leaves off of our lawn, and then we have to fertilize the lawn. So to a small degree, or depending on how many flowers you had in your yard, to a large or small degree anyway, we feed the birds because we like to see the birds. But if we grew for wildlife, if we gardened for wildlife, we wouldn't have to spend so much money on birdseed and hummingbird food and stuff like that. So I actually took down our hummingbird feeders this year for the first time. And for the first time, we had enough variety. Or listen, you could just get a couple of plants that lasted all summer, like a salvia. Listen, off the top of my head, I am never going to be able to rip off a whole bunch of native hummingbird plants. There is a trumpet creeper. Listen, if that was invasive, ignore that. But the point is, listen, if this is really tripping your trigger right now, like, ooh, what could I plant for hummingbirds? Google native plants for hummingbirds in whatever state you're in, okay? And you'll get a whole list. So don't rely on the things I just floated off the top of my head. But for the first time, we did not do any hummingbird feeders at all because I had enough plants to feed them all year, all right? And so now we're at the end of the season. All of the flowers are dead. So you're in a conundrum if you like your yard to look nice. Now, I know people who are such purists and it works for them. It would not work for me. They're like, screw all my neighbors. I'm going to garden for wildlife no matter what, and I don't really care if you like the way my yard looks. Now, that is not my personality. That's not the way that I roll, and my husband ain't going to go for that, okay? So what I've tried to figure out was, what can I do that's a good blend, okay? And before I get to what I did, let me continue go down the path of why I did it. So in the winter, our native birds need food, okay? And we have the fruit eaters and the seed eaters, and I think even robins actually will eat seeds. During the summer, I mostly see them going after worms, but in the winter, they're always on our bird feeders. And so I typically like to use, there's a million different things you can feed birds, but we like the shelled sunflowers, the chipped sunflower seeds. They go over like candy in our yard. It's really great. But I have a lot of native plants that, like I said, are all dead now, and they have seeds in the middle. And the birds will eat those seeds. All right. And so the birds will go to your feeders primarily because there are no other options. When there isn't an option of a bird feeder, because this happened a few years ago when the bird flu was really bad, and we were encouraged to take down all the feeders because it was like a community cesspool, you know what I mean? So I took those all down, and lo and behold, all of the birds that I have never seen eating our elderberry berries, and I grow the elderberry trees specifically for the birds, they were all eating the berries off of the elderberry bushes, trees, whatever they are, instead of, like, they certainly weren't in the middle of the yard going, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? They actually do what they are hardwired to do, which is live off the land. Okay, we make it easier for them by setting up a bird feeder, and they can get a one-stop shop all in one spot. So I would greatly encourage you to consider leaving these dead flowers, okay? Now you're going to think, I ain't doing that because it looks like trash. Well, that's exactly why I didn't do it in the front yard. So what did I do? I got 2 trash cans, Rubber-made trash cans. My husband drilled holes in the bottom for me, and then we went ahead and tidied up our yard. I cut down the cone flowers, cut down, various things, black-eyed Susans, some goldenrod, some blue sage, coreopsis, like blah, 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 blanket flower, all kinds of stuff. But they all had dead flower heads on them with seeds. So we put them in this trash can. Are you with me in envisioning this right now? So there's a big trash can, and I mean like a trash can size. You know what I mean? Like an outdoor trash can size. I don't know how many gallons that is, 30. Anyway, so we've got that, and then we took all those dead flowers and put them right in the trash can like a bouquet, like a vase of flowers, only this is ugly and dry and outside. But I put that behind a bush, so I kind of put it in the general area. And look, you could put it on the side of your house or wherever. I would put it somewhere where the birds will see it and go to it, so you don't just have a big trash can of dead flowers for no reason. And anyway, lo and behold, the birds are utilizing it. So I've done the same thing. I left the dead flowers. I left the seeds out for them, but my yard is tidied up. So in the backyard, maybe in your side yard, wherever you have some other things. Now, look, if you have hydrangeas and they're dead, that's not going to do anything. If you have roses and they're dead, those are usually all sterile. So I'm talking about the stuff that actually has seeds in them. And maybe this is something, listen, I'll backtrack a little bit. Maybe this is the first time you're ever hearing this. So not all flowers have seeds. Not all flowers produce nectar and pollen. And so a lot of times these fancy varieties that has like a razzmatazz, whatever it's called, or hydrangeas, some roses, Asiatic lilies, those are sterile, okay? Now, where they came from, could something local there utilize them? Perhaps China or Japan or wherever the Asiatic lilies came from. But here, they don't produce anything for our local wildlife. So while they're pretty, they don't do anything. So the, kind of full circle here, that also means it doesn't have anything to provide when it's dead either. So I'm specifically talking about even the zinnias. When the zinnias are dried out, they're dead and they're dry. And I mean completely dry. If you are a seed saver, which not a lot of people are, but if you've grown zinnias, and you can save the seeds from those, all right? But you have to wait until it is 100% brown. The seeds are contained in the middle. Almost every flower, the seeds are in the middle or in the there's usually little holes or whatever, you'll see them. But if you do not wait for that zinnia to dry all the way out and the petals are still kind of colorful, that seed in the middle has not developed. And then when you go to plant it next year, it won't do anything because it was a dead seed. Not dead in a good way, like an undeveloped seed, okay? So anyway, all of these other things, if you would consider in an area where it doesn't matter, for our backyard, we do not cut down the dead flowers at all. We let it go to seed and we let the birds eat it. Now, if it is something like, say, for instance, a goldenrod, okay, or a milkweed, common milkweed, well, all milkweed gets a pod on it. That is not something, first of all, birds don't usually eat that. I don't think they eat it at all, but that's not something that I would encourage you to let dry out and pop open and fly all over the place, because no one will like that. It goes far and wide, but it will go all over your yard. Not the biggest deal. when those pods are green, put a rubber band around it. And if you want to collect the seeds, before it pops open, I mean, I would wait for it to. You can crack them open a little bit. When the seeds are brown, they're ready. But otherwise, if you don't care about saving the seeds, clip that pod off, put it in the compost. That way it won't pop open and go all over your yard. But in an area like for us, in our backyard and in our side yard where we have some native plants that have a dead flower head on them with seeds, we just leave those. Less work for me. The birds can easily get it. But in the front yard, you could try the trash can trick and see if it works for you. But I would greatly encourage you to consider, number one, gardening for wildlife, which means planting things that are native to your area, and then not being so super duper tidy in the fall and leave those seeds for the birds. And on that note, also for those of us, me included, who have those tall decorative grasses, some are native, some are not, we are encouraged to leave those as well. And there are insects that utilize that as a home for the winter. And don't get all creeped out, okay? It doesn't mean there's 10,000 spiders in there or 80 million mosquitoes or whatever that's going to bite or kill you. It's just nature always has a home, and sometimes unknowingly, unwittingly, and unwillingly, we destroy those homes. So again, just trying to arm you with some information. And I am now out of daylight. I'm starting to look creepy, spooky on my video. I thank you for listening. Hope I've given you a few good ideas, and please share this with your friends. Have an awesome day.